we are developing students for the industry, career technical education, so that they become our replacements.
These young people have chosen this opportunity to get a jump start on their career.
They'll have a better idea about what they want to do and what they're good at by the time they leave high school.
There's some great opportunities for these students that are coming out of the career and technical programs from Henrico County.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Henrico CTE. Now I'm Rashawn Garnett, and with me I have
Mike Roberts.
And today we are occupying the transportation office. Again, huge shout out to those folks in transportation for letting us borrow it for 30 minutes or so, right,
yeah,
Mike?
The Bat Cave's under renovation.
It's under renovation right now, so we're unable to use the Bat Cave, but shout out to the transportation folks here in Henrico County Henrico County Schools who are letting us borrow their conference office to do this podcast here. Got another guest for you today, but first I want to remind you to check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all at the handle Henrico CTE. Mike, tell them where they can find the podcast.
You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, any of your major and minor podcast venues.
All right, so all you have to do, literally download your favorite podcast venue and search Henrico CTE, and we should pop up. Yes. Red letter CTE. Real cool logo that Mike did, by the way.
Thank you.
Patting him on the back, man. Patting him on the back. See, Mike, I do say nice things about you, okay?
That's only because you're paid for it. Don't do it right now.
And it's recorded, so no,
exactly.
I'm kidding. All right, guys. Today we have with us a certified public accountant, Catina Downey, owner of Catina Downey CPA PLLC. How are you doing today, Ms. Downey? And may I say thank you so much for coming all this way to hang out with us inside of the transportation office here.
You're welcome. I'm doing great.
All right. So talk to us a little bit about your current position. I understand you own your own business. We mentioned yes. Catina Downey CPA PLLC. So talk a little bit about what your average day is and how we may be intruding on that average day right now.
Well, actually, this is off tax season, so a typical day is a little bit different. So I specialize in small business accounting and tax. So during the tax season, January, February through April, we're pretty busy with income tax returns, which most people are probably familiar with that. During the other time when we're not preparing tax returns, I'm doing small business accounting, consulting, meeting with them, advising, that sort of thing. Okay. So a typical day starts at about 6 o'clock. I get up first. I check my daughter's a Varina Lady Blue Devils basketball team player. And so the first thing I do when I wake up is look at her grades to see what's missing. Then I check my Facebook. Then I get up, coffee, check emails, do all those administrative things, some marketing things. As a business owner, you do everything. So I do a couple of marketing things. Then I dive into client work.
So being a business owner, being an accountant, when did you know that was something that you wanted to do?
I probably knew in high school. So I was a Tucker High School grad, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit later, is about the program. But during that program, I really liked what I was doing. And at the time, my best friend was planning to major in accounting at Hampton University. I was going to Virginia State University, but she was going to Hampton.
Nothing wrong with Virginia State, by the way.
No, it's not. Absolutely.
That's where I came from as well. Warriors. Yeah, got to put that out there.
Yes.
All right.
And so class of 96 for all you other Trojans out there listening.
Yep.
And so she was majoring in accounting. I was working in an accounting department. And so I was learning kind of the ins and outs of lingo. And so I decided, well, I kind of like this. Maybe I'll major in accounting. She did not like accounting at all. She is a very successful speech pathologist for elementary school in Florida. But I really liked accounting. I liked the organization of it. I liked the rules of it. I liked the clear cut. This is how it should be done. And I liked the customer service part of it. So I would say probably either high school, college is when I really knew I wanted to be an accountant.
All right, so that's program she's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is the Cooperative Education program we have here inside of Henrico CTE, which allows students to actually go out and get some real world experience. And it sounds like that COE program was able to expose you to quite a bit, but we'll get to that later. Okay. I want to know, though, what is the most rewarding thing about being an accountant, right? Accountant is something, a lot of people don't realize how important it is. Yeah. It's one of those jobs that I think is a little bit, how should I say this? Maybe it's not
boring. Is that what you want to say?
I'm trying to say it nicer. People don't really, people don't really give accountants, what they deserve as far as,
Business owners realize the importance of
business
accounting.
owners
Yeah.
do.
Not most people at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
Mike. Thank you for helping me clean that up. So,
Good job.
what is the most rewarding thing about being an accountant?
Probably helping people. I mean, I love helping people. And so when people come to me with a problem and I help them talk it out and figure out what it is they're really trying to solve. Lots of times, business owners, they are concentrating on running their business, the operations of it, but there's the background part of it. And accountants are, we're kind of in the background. We make the compliance things happen. So we don't get out front. We don't do all that, but we make sure that those things are how they should be. And so that is probably the most rewarding thing, is helping our clients. The most rewarding about being a business owner is having ownership of my time.
Right.
Time is so valuable. You don't get any more of it. You can make more money. You can't make more time. And so owning my time is the most rewarding part of it.
As a business owner, you wear multiple hats. So,
Oh, yeah.
And so you have to be your own accountant, whereas some
Yes.
businesses, you have to be your own accountant and your own everything else. So talk a
Yes.
little bit about that struggle and how you're able to overcome that on the daily.
Well, I have really good staff that help me get those things done. And so, I'm appreciative of the people. I can't do anything by myself. As far as the leadership of it and the direction that it goes, that is me. But the execution of those things, I have staff to do that.
All right.
When you first started your business, did you start off as a company of one and then moved on from there? And how have you grown over time?
So I was working for a really, really great regional CPA firm, which is Kiter Stevens out in West End. Great group of accountants, great CPAs, really customers focused. But when I had my daughter, I really wanted to work for myself and have that flexibility of being at all of her events at school and being able to do career days and just doing all of those things. And so that's when I started the practice. And so I started the business plan of it while I was carrying her, planning for that. And fortunately, the partners over there, the CPAs there, were very helpful with me making that transition. And so I was the accountant of one. I did everything. And so we built over the last 15 years to where we are now.
So you've been in business for 15 years.
Yes.
And
yes.
then what type of what house is your office now? How many people do you have under you?
I have 4 people under me. Our office is at Paragon Place. Over, if you're familiar with the old Kmart at Glenside,
yeah.
I'm across the street from that. So my office is across the street from there. Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
All right.
How has COVID-19? It's affected so many businesses, people individually, definitely businesses. How has it affected your business and how you conduct that business?
Well, we started out the practice when I started in the cloud, paperless. So the transition for me and the staff, it wasn't that difficult for the work itself. But I do a lot of client site visits where I go out to client sites and help them and their staff. And so that part was really difficult. And I like seeing people face to face and, talking to them and seeing their facial expressions, especially if I'm teaching a class. I try to do a monthly free class, kind of teaching about the basics of being a small business owner and how to use the accounting software. And so when I'm doing those classes, I can see the eyes and I can see if they're glazed over or if they're paying attention, but it's hard to do that when you're not right there. So I would say the biggest probably impact has been not being able to be physically with everybody. But with Zoom, we're able to, log in and talk at the same time and see, people that way. But as far as our workload, it added because there were so many changes and so many twists and turns with the CARES Act and what was available to small business owners. And I really wanted them to know what was available. So I spent a lot of time in March and April, researching the CARES Act and researching what was available and letting people know, what you can do and talking to our clients and telling them you're kind of guiding them through that process. So that was probably the biggest impact to what we were doing.
When you were, you said before that you were alumni of Tucker and you were in the
Yes.
Cooperative Education program. what would you say that you got out of that? What did you what company did you work for?
I went to work for Circuit City Corporate. I don't
Oh,
know
wow.
if any of your young listeners know
I'm
what
55. I know who Circuit City is. I know who
Wait.
Best Products is.
Is that like a Staples
what
or
is
something
it?
like that?
No.
Pre-Comp USA.
It was like it's like a Best Buy.
Yeah.
Circuit City was like a Best Buy. They were a huge organization, and their corporate office was right off of West Broad Street, where I don't know what is there now. It's
gosh.
behind the old Charlie's.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Gaskins Road.
Yeah.
So their corporate office was there, and I went to go be an accounting clerk, which meant I did a lot of filing and I did a lot of data entry. So I'm great with a 10 key now. And that I learned
can
that
imagine.
on that job. And doing a lot of filing. We used to have these big, huge sheets of paper. You know how you have your laser printers now? Well, back in the day, there was a big, huge sheet of paper. It was a dot matrix printer.
And it was a tractor printer.
It was a tractor printer,
yep.
yes. And so it was a big, huge sheet of paper, and it would these big, huge pieces
Boxes.
of paper that would come out of the machine. It would make this loud noise. And my job was taking those big printouts and put them into these other little hanging things
folders?
in like a file
File
cabinet,
fold-
but it was huge.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to file all those. And then when I would come in, my boss would have stickers on my desk of what she wanted me to do, make copies of this, fax that. It was a lot of copies back then.
I can imagine.
And so I did a lot of that and a lot of data entry from one report because things didn't talk to each other back then. So it was a lot of taking what's on this piece of paper and typing it into something else.
Oh, wow.
A lot of that.
So I'm sure when things did begin to talk to each other, I'm sure that helped you out a lot in the long run.
For me, I love technology. I love seeing what it can do. So for me, it's been fantastic. But for some people, that transition from
It was rough.
how I've done it before to doing something different, some people don't particularly like that. I love seeing how we can do things differently. But I understand people don't always like that.
So let's talk a little bit about technology then. Like, I mean, you've been in business for 15 years. So how have you seen some of that technology that helps you do what you do on the daily evolve?
The biggest impact I would say would be cloud computing. Doing a lot of things in the cloud and being able to not worry about data being lost and being able to service clients at a moment's notice. I may be here and I get an email on my phone. I can respond to that email from here. Whereas before, I know the thought of talking to someone when you weren't in your office or communicating with them was unheard of. And to think that I now walk around with a computer basically in my hand and I can service them, that to me is a game changer.
And also that with the cloud computing, be able to have access to the data in a third place.
Yes.
It's where your customer is storing it there, and then you have access to that
Yes.
data. There's
Yes.
no emailing back and forth, and what's the most current version of the documentation that no, it's all in one place. Yeah.
Yes, and I love that, and just in reference to that, there's the platform that I teach on a lot is a QuickBooks Online, which is small business owners use for their accounting, and so that has been tremendous in helping. When the clients get stuck on something, how do I record this? What do I do? Being able to log in and see where they've messed up, and quickly fix it for them or show them. If it's something I know that they're going to come across again, then I'd rather show them how to fix this later on. But some things are just a little bit more complex, and I just fix it myself.
All right, then back on the topic of the COE program.
Yes.
How would you say that helped you become who you are today, if any at all?
It did, and it was a tremendous. I even think back on those things even now. So when I'm dealing with, how I communicate with staff, what my expectations are, I think back to my bosses there. They were really good bosses, and so they were very nurturing and help. And maybe because I was a high school kid, I don't know, but they were very, very helpful. And so I think about that when I'm thinking about my leadership style, and also just when you're going to your learning and work ethic. Most of the time when you're in high school, I don't even remember how I learned about the program. I think my typing teacher said, hey, you want to do this and leave school at lunch? And I was like, yeah, leave school at lunch. So I think, you're not thinking about that sort of thing when you're in high school.
Right.
But now thinking back on it, I'm like, wow, that was a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, and actually turned into a career for you.
It turned into a
eventually.
career, yes.
Yeah, and so would you say there's something that stuck with you in particular? One thing that maybe stuck with you in particular coming out of the COE program?
That the concept of work and, showing up on time and being professional and working in that type of environment. It was a corporate office.
Right.
So, you dressed a certain way, you carried yourself a certain way. It's very different from working I had worked in a movie theater before that. And so we had a little uniform
Yeah, a little
that
bit of
we wore.
different atmosphere.
Very different atmosphere. So I think that, feeling grown up and working somewhere where other grown-ups are working makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's those essential skills that we talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
That communication and interacting with people and understanding that the world does not revolve around you and that, we all work together. So, yeah.
Yeah, and, those are things that every business person needs in their office, right? They need people or students or, alum to come out and be able to make an immediate impact, but they be able to get along and have some of those intangible skills as well.
Right, and I think it's the neat thing about CTE and all the programs they're offering is that they're teaching those essential skills to the students so that because where else are they going to get it until they get into the business world?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And I think I'm glad you brought that up because that's a really good point. I try to let my daughter know about that you want to have experience. When you go to apply for a job, they want to know that you have experience, but you don't want to wait until you're ready to get a full-time job to get experience. You need to go in. And so they're like, how do you get experience? Well, you need experience. And it's just like this backward circle. Whereas in high school, you can go ahead and get that experience. Even if you're not, paid to learn it, you're learning a skill. You're learning what employers are going to look for.
And, and believe it or not, that being paid thing is a barrier for a lot of people. Even in college, a lot of them want them to be paid internships, paid opportunities. But sometimes the payment is the experience you learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that what we're also talking about is what they refer to soft skills.
Yeah.
Is you may have experience in the classroom or whatever for accounting or for whatever skill that is that you're being hired for.
Right.
But it's those skills about not being on your phone, showing up to work on time.
Yes.
And you mentioned about the uniform and being dressed properly for the business world. All those things is what's being covered and you're learning before you get there. So instead of showing up to work and going, we have to have a talk.
Exactly. You want to learn those while you're in that position where the expectation is not already there. When you're 22 years old, the expectation is that you're going to come on the first day and know how to carry yourself.
Yeah.
But when you're 17, 18, the expectation is that we're teaching you how to do that. So the best time to mess up anytime would be in high school.
Yeah, and this is where our workplace readiness skills come into play that we're teaching our students. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so, Catina, why do you think, and we kind of hit on a little bit of everything, why this is important. Why do you think COE programs are important to have in general?
I think they're important for all these things that we just talked about, but the primary would be the experience, the getting to understand and getting to explore something that you wouldn't have thought of before. I didn't think about accounting before. I wouldn't have thought to go apply to be an accounting clerk at Circuit City. I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's about exposure sometimes.
It is about exposure. It's definitely about seeing what is available. As a young person, you don't know what you don't know. And so being able to be put into a spot where, you're learning something new, even if you don't go into that field, you're still meeting those people, you're still making those connections, you're still understanding how things work.
Yeah, and just like you said, you mentioned about your friend who talked you into getting into, and then she found out she didn't like accounting.
Right, she hated accounting.
So, but that's the thing. She got the exposure. She thought that's what she liked. She found out she didn't.
Right.
And she's still in high school. It's not like she's figuring that out in college where she's got to start all over again.
And
Well, she was.
Oh, was
So
she?
She was. So she was in college. She had majored in accounting. And, as a freshman, I'm not sure you young people understand, but as a freshman, you don't have to declare a major. You don't have to know right now what you're going to do. And so that's what she was going to major in. Well, when she took her first accounting class, she said, oh, no.
She said, I know accounting had something to do with math, but I didn't know it was this
She's
much
like, oh,
math.
no.
It might not have been math for her, but I'm just making.
It was just the concept. I mean,
Right.
I like things in line. She likes things in colors. So it's
okay.
just if I see a form, I want to fill in the boxes. She sees a form and she wants to color it.
Okay.
So it's just a
Gotcha.
different mindset of how you see those type of things. And so it's a much better fit for her. Working with the young kids is a much better fit.
All right.
But like we've talked about before, Rashawn, is that whether it's a high school CT course or an ACE Center program that you're taking, is that exposure to find out that is this what's right for me, and finding out what might not be ready good for me.
It's so
and
important.
that experience, getting it out the way, can help you later. And you
Yes.
still get the experiences, that you are going to gain from that. But some of that experience could be just, I need to try a different path.
Yeah.
And
And it also gives you, I think, a greater appreciation for those things that you may not like to do, because people won't like accounting. Not everybody's. My brother is an IT great guru. He started out majoring in accounting, hated it, and went into IT. And so you're either you're gonna like it or you're not. But being exposed to it gives you a greater appreciation for how difficult it is for those people in that profession.
And I'm sure being exposed to accounting in general and having to manage other folks' funds helps you as well in your own personal life. So how has being an accountant helped you personally?
Well, I don't know how it helps me personally. It's always been in my mind. Even as a little kid, I liked the concept of money and how it worked and that sort of thing. So it doesn't really change.
I was
a
been a math person.
Pretty much. It just kind of fit. It just fit for me.
Okay. And I was talking to Mac recently. He mentioned the VITA program where you're going to be teaching students a little bit about taxes. Talk a little bit about that and how the students may be able to get involved and what you hope to teach the students.
I want to talk a lot about that.
Yeah. Well, scratch the little part off.
The VITA program, which is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance and Tax Counseling for the Elderly, is an Internal Revenue Service program that was started back in the early 70s. I want to say 71, 72. And so it was started with the idea of helping low-income to moderate-income individuals prepare their tax returns and get tax advice. And so I worked a VITA site when I was in college. I was a senior in college, and our our tax professor worked for the IRS. He was an adjunct professor for us, and he worked full time for the IRS. And so he was very, strict about the rules. And growing up, I always thought I was going to be a judge. That's what I had planned to do.
Right.
I knew that's what I was going to do. And so when I majored, in accounting, I thought I would be a tax attorney and I would be, judge in the tax court or whatever. And so when we had this professor who worked for the IRS and came, he really drilled down the law. And so he wanted us to see how the law applies to the form. And so he had a VITA site at Virginia State University. And so myself and another senior, we ran that program. And to see how, appreciative those people were of us spending our time helping them. So I always wanted to have a VITA site or participate in one. And, during the tax season, I'm really busy, so I didn't really have time. But this year, I was able to work it out so that we could have one here in the East End.
Oh, awesome.
And so you'll find several VITA sites run by the AARP, United Way, but we didn't have one out here in Varina. And so I really, really wanted it. And so I talked with the IRS, and so I've been working with them, working with some of the county leaders in Henrico. They've been fantastic. I'll tell you, our Varina supervisor and our new representative for Varina district, they love our students. They want the best for our students. And so they've been very helpful in getting me connected with the right places to get this up and get our students to be able to volunteer for it. So what they can do is they are able to volunteer to either learn actually how to prepare a basic tax return and work at the VITA site, or they can volunteer to be one of our runners, handling the paperwork, or they can work as a scanner, or they can help us with the marketing of the program. There are a number of ways in which the students can volunteer to help us out. The good thing about this program is it allows them to become a certified volunteer income tax preparer. So when they finish the program, they can go on to work for a tax office.
Wow.
Later on. They can still volunteer for us because we want to keep the program going.
Right.
But we're starting out this time with just 5 Sundays this tax season from February the 7th through April the 4th. We're going to try to do every other Sunday.
Okay.
And we are focusing on the elderly this time. We want to expand it later on as I get more volunteers, but right now we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. We want it to be successful. So that's that program. So if your students want to learn more about it, the IRS has information on their website. They have YouTube videos showing, talking about the program. There is on our website, there's an organization that I founded this year to give information about that. So it's varinacenter.org. It has the list of all the volunteer opportunities, a video on there about what you would do as a VITA volunteer and who the VITA program helps. And what else I want to say about that? Yes.
You said a lot.
So I want them to sign. I want them to sign up for that, and I want them to get want our students to get the benefit of it. Anybody can volunteer. It's open to any qualified individual. But I really want, when the IRS said representative who's helping me, she is the IRS employee who coaches me. She mentioned using the high school students. I mean, a light bulb just went off, and I, immediately shot a message to Mac and hey, is this something we can do? And so I'm really excited about the opportunity it's going to give our students.
And and knowing Mac the way we do, Mike, he hopped on that opportunity.
Oh my God! Yes, definitely. I want to make sure. I'm going to make sure I get the links to all the pertinent information on the description of the podcast today.
Yes.
Yeah, and so this sounds like a way to give back to Varina.
Yes.
In a way. So why do you think it's important to give back to Varina in this fashion?
Our students in Varina have enough challenges. We have quite a few challenges in this area of the county. Growing up in Henrico County, I've enjoyed, both sides of the county. I went to Laburnum Elementary and Moody, and then I went to Tucker High School. And so coming over to Varina and having my daughter's gone to Varina schools all the way elementary, middle to high school.
She plays basketball there now,
She does
right?
play basketball there, yes. And so I've seen some of the challenges that our students have. And one of those, when I look at, for example, the website of, those businesses who are in that CEO program, and I look at those that are on this side of town, there aren't many on this side of town. And so I want to give our students on both sides of the county the same opportunities. If I can, my little piece of what I can do to help is what I want to do.
All right. So what do you hope the students gain ultimately from a program like this?
I hope that they, one, get experience that they can use to become an employee somewhere that they want, or if they want to have their own tax business someday. And also, we are, and as a CPA profession, we always recruiting for future CPAs. And so to get those students connected with other accountants, because there will be experienced accountants there.
CPA means Certified Public Accountant.
Yes,
guys,
sorry.
just if you
CPA
don't
means
know.
Certified
Yes.
Public Accountant. And so we want to get them connected in that pipeline and let them know that this is a career path that they can choose. I mean, it's wide open. There are CPAs who work for professional athletes. There are CPAs who are auditors, tax people, you can do anything you want to do.
CPAs
as
are
a
essential.
CPA.
Like, that's
they
what we
are
try to,
essential. And so they could choose to go that path, or they can choose to go right into work and be a tax professional without going to college. You can go, you study, you have to pass tests designed by the IRS, but once you pass those tests, you can work. So I know that that Henrico has, was it 3 E's?
Yep, 3
Yes, the
E's.
3 E's.
Enrolled, enlisted, or employed. 3 E's.
Exactly. So I'm also a veteran, so I've done all of those things.
Well, thank you
all
for
of
your
those.
service.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. I've done all those things, and I know that there's benefit to each and every one of them. So if a person decides, I don't want to go to college, or I don't want to go right now, I really don't want to enlist, this is a way for them to get some experience to go on the,
Just more avenues.
employed,
Really.
yes.
More avenues.
It's
for
another certification opportunity.
It is, yes, another certification opportunity.
All right. Well, running up against the clock here.
Oh, sorry.
And no, you're good. You're good. Mike, you wanted
I
one
want
more
to
thing
ask
to
one
add?
more thing. What would you tell? You've been through the program. We've got children now, and they're coming up in age. What would you tell a parent and a student, and or a student, when it comes to whether they should get involved in the Cooperative Education Program, CTE
Right.
as a whole, the ACE centers. How important do you think these programs are to students, and what would you tell a parent to convince them to say this is really something they should be taking in consideration?
I think it is extremely important. The program will give if I'm talking to a parent, I would say it will give your student that experience that they need to go out into the workforce. If I'm talking to a student, it's more difficult for them to see the benefit now. And even, for some reason, students feel reluctant to do something that their friends are not, doing it.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, if the group of people are going over to the CTE program, then I'll go, or
Right.
I'll look into it. But it's more, I think as parents, we have to sometimes push, and I try my best to
kind of help guide them in the right
exactly.
direction.
I try to
right.
let my daughter kind of choose her path, but sometimes I have to push her into
Yeah.
what I
It's
want
part
her
of
to do.
parenting, I'm sure. I'm not a
Yes.
parent myself. I'm just saying. Just saying.
But yes,
from
you're
what I've
right.
seen.
It is a part of parenting is to push them into what is going to benefit them down the road. So I would say it is extremely important and very, very beneficial to your students. I think a lot of parents just don't know that it's there or how do they get involved. And so I'm hoping that at the end of this, you will explain to them how a student would step by step get involved with that CTE and CEO program.
And it certainly will make the goals look a little bit more tangible for them as well. So maybe that will help
Yes.
them kind of, not make it look so far into the future, but see, I'm chasing a goal that's not too far off.
Yes,
right?
I think they get confused as, we tell them you have to take English, you have to take math, you have to, we give them their schedule. But as far as an option for them, they don't know. What do you do? How do you let someone know that you want to exercise that option?
Right. And then, we always call it the big why around here. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? They're immediately able to see why they're doing something and maybe what the result will be, as the effect of actually doing it. So I want to thank you so much, Miss Catina Downey. Again, Catina Downey is a certified public accountant and owner of Catina Downey, CPA LLC. Thank you so much for being on Henrico CTE now.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, guys. Before we go, I want to remind you, check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all at the handle Henrico CTE. Mike, tell them where they can find the podcast.
You can find the podcast on all of your major and minor podcast venues, such as Spotify, Apple, Google, and all the little ones out there.
All right, guys. That's it for us here for Catina Downey. For Mike Roberts, I'm Rashawn Garnett. This has been Henrico CTE. Now, until next time, so long, everyone.